they seem to move the ball better with Jacoby Brissett out there. I think Jonathan Gannon, despite what he said after the game, is going to have a tough time moving Jacoby Brissett out of there as long as he's playing this well.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday where I let you know exactly where your team stacks up, as well as my thoughts on last night's game between the Cardinals and Cowboys. But then after that, every single team, exactly where I think they stand right now, if they played a best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, best of whatever, at a neutral location. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday. But first, it's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Ross, the theme from last night was the Cowboys just didn't look one player away on defense in a 27-17 loss to the Cardinals on Monday Night Football.
There's a lot there. And it's a good point by you, Jack, because before the game, for whatever reason, because these are the type of things that he does, Jerry Jones said that the Cowboys have made a trade and that they'll make it today, which is now Tuesday, the trade deadline. But he wasn't going to say what that was yet. Well, then they went out and lost. And now they're 3-5-1. So will they still make the trade? I think after the game he said he's still leaning towards it. Man, I don't know. Are you going for it? What are you exactly going for here, Jerry? I mean, I think they are unlikely to make the playoffs almost no matter who they traded for. They could trade for an absolute star like, I don't know, Micah Parsons, and still probably not make the playoffs at this point. For Arizona, this is kind of what they've been waiting for. It's interesting that Kyler Murray was not active for the game. So what they're telling us is that he's still not healthy. I think that they thought this past week he was going to be. There had been reports that they were preparing for him to start the game. And then he didn't speak at the press conference. Next thing you know, Jacoby Brissett starts. Kyler Murray doesn't even suit up. And Jacoby Brissett went out there and played well again. And so now, if you're a Cardinals fan and you realize Kyler's been in the system for 3 years, Jacoby hasn't, but they seem to move the ball better with Jacoby Brissett out there, I think Jonathan Gannon, despite what he said after the game, is going to have a tough time moving Jacoby Brissett out of there as long as he's playing this well. What they'll do is they'll say they're going to wait till Kyler's 100%, and they'll leave Brissett in there as long as he's playing well. He looked good. I mean, he gets the ball out faster. He operates Drew Petzing's offense efficiently. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a big-time game on Monday Night Football, including absolutely cooking Deron Bland for a touchdown down near the goal line. You guys have to see that highlight if you didn't already. Even CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys wide receiver, was making faces on the sideline. Couldn't believe how bad Harrison made Bland look. Another touchdown for Trey McBride, who, this is actually not a good stat for Kyler, right? Trey McBride has 4 touchdowns in 3 Jacoby Brissett starts. He had 5 in 39 games with Kyler Murray. Now, some of that's a little bit fluky, I guess, but because Kyler throws him the ball all the time, but still. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, this defense, which the whole thing was moving on from Micah Parsons because they need to improve the run defense. Well, Amari DiMercato and Bam Knight. Who? Exactly. The third or fourth running backs for the Cardinals ran very effectively against the Cowboys. And the Cowboys' vaunted offense didn't really do that much. Calais Campbell had a couple sacks. Josh Sweat had a couple sacks. I thought Will Johnson, the rookie corner, played very well. I mean, the Cowboys had some chances, didn't make the most of it, and the Cardinals finally sealed the deal late in the game. It had been a long time, 6 weeks since they had done that, as the Cardinals get a much, much needed victory. And the Cowboys, I'm not going to say their season's over, but effectively put themselves in a very, very tough spot to have a chance to make the playoffs. More great stuff right after this. Absolutely love the Game Time app because I love sponsors that I use often and love. My daughter got her tickets last weekend, or 2 weekends ago now, to the Eagles with my father-in-law because it was her grandfather day, which is awesome. You can get tickets for any event, certainly NFL games, college football games, but even just look for concerts as well as comedy shows in your area. That's what I mean. It's like the best search engine for events in your area. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ROSS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. I love vodka. Vodka, vodka, vodka. In my, that's, what movie is that? The Anchorman with Will Ferrell talking about scotch. I love scotch. Scotchity scotch, scotch. Anyway, I love Smirnoff. You know why? Number one reason is because they're a sponsor of the show. And so we should all support them because they're geniuses. But also, they're the world's number one vodka. An official vodka partner of the NFL, official vodka partner of this show. They've been around since 1864. Think about that. I talked about how they've been very helpful for tailgating. They do game days. Grab a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer and head to Smirnoff.com to find recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
Start our Power Rankings with 32nd, the Tennessee Titans.
Well, the Titans are one of a couple teams that made a move yesterday. They traded Draymond Jones for a conditional 5th-round pick. I haven't seen the conditions that could move up to a 4th. This has got to really be tough if you're Denard Wilson, their defensive coordinator. Draymond Jones was playing by far the best up front of any of the guys for the Titans, and yet now he gets traded because he has value, and they want to get draft picks. The irony of it, by the way, Jack, is they could just re-sign Draymond Jones this offseason. You know, they get a 5th, maybe a 4th-round pick for him, and then maybe re-sign him this offseason when he's a free agent. They're basically getting a draft pick to let the Ravens potentially rent him for the rest of the year. But he had been playing really well. I think he had 5 sacks in the last 4 games.
31st, the New York Jets.
The Jets are coming off a bye, so not much to say there other than Aaron Glenn is still playing the Jedi mind trick where he's not saying who the starting quarterback will be this week. Hey, Aaron, it's going to be Justin Fields. You just won a game with Justin Fields. He played very well. You've invested a lot of money in him. It's going to be Justin Fields. I'd be very surprised if it's not. But hey, Jedi mind trick, I guess he feels like worked last time, so he's going to go with it again.
30th is the New Orleans Saints.
They're in a weird spot because really the rest of this season, like a lot of these teams that are down here towards the bottom, is about 2 things. Finding the guys that are part of the solution to have on the team next year and figuring out which guys are part of the problem and that you don't want back. I would not be surprised at all if the Saints trade a receiver, likely Rashid Shaheed, today. And then the biggest thing is whether or not Tyler Shuck is the quarterback going into next year. He has basically half a season to show that he is that guy, or at least enough that he can be that guy, that the Saints don't draft another quarterback high in the first round next year.
29th is the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins 29. Miami Dolphins, I thought did well to get a third-round pick from the Eagles for Jalen Phillips. You know, as you're comparing, for the Dolphins to get a third-round pick for Jalen Phillips, whereas the Ravens gave up a fifth that might turn into a fourth for Draymond Jones, that's good for the Dolphins to get third-round pick for Phillips off these injuries. Now, he's been playing better as of late, but not as well as Draymond Jones. However, the Dolphins also took on $5 million of his salary for the rest of the year. So that affects the draft pick too. If you're going to take on that money, then that slides the draft pick a little bit too, because it's all about the assets that you're investing.
Cleveland Browns at 28.
They made a change yesterday where Kevin Stefanski announced that Tommy Rees is going to take the reins as the play caller from head coach Kevin Stefanski. This is the second year in a row that midway through the year, Stefanski has handed over play calling duties to his coordinator. This year, he's going to give Tommy Rees a chance to show what he can do.
Las Vegas Raiders at 27.
Not much to say there other than they did get their offense going a little bit against the Jaguars, which is encouraging. That was yet again a very winnable game that the Raiders were not able to get done. I did see a post where Chip Kelly's the highest paid coordinator in the league at $6 million. Wow. Was not expecting that. That's a lot.
26 is the Washington Commanders.
Gets from bad to worse. You know, there is a chance Jaden Daniels could come back later in the season with that dislocated elbow, but they also lost Luke McCaffrey, who's helped at receiver but been really good on returns to a fractured collarbone, and Marshawn Lattimore to a torn ACL. So it really went from bad to worse for the Commanders.
25th is the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think we all know what the deal is there. The offense is awesome. The defense is horrendous. Second year in a row. And so that's the thing that really, really is puzzling. When they had the whole offseason to figure out ways to get the defense to just be okay. They don't even need them to be average. Just be the 25th best defense. Nope. They're 32nd by a lot. They're a team to watch, Jack, whether it's Trey Hendrickson, Logan Wilson, Cam Taylor, Britt. The Bengals are a team to watch in terms of making a trade today.
New York Giants are at 24.
It's kind of a shame. It feels like Jackson Dart is like out there by himself. Just doesn't have enough around him to really win some of these games. Felt like he did when they had Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterbo, but unfortunately those guys are gone. And so they're just going to try to win as many games as they can to see if Dable can keep his job. Maybe he doesn't even need to do that. Maybe if, Jackson Dart just plays that well, the Giants won't want to mess with that. That's an interesting situation, actually.
After last night, the Arizona Cardinals are 23rd.
Moving up, and rightfully so. First game they had won in 6 weeks. They had, 5 games in a row where they all lost by one score, like a total of 13 points or 16 points or something crazy. Now maybe things flip. Maybe they get on the other side of these things and win a bunch of these games.
The other team from last night, the Cowboys, are 22nd.
Wait, what? How does he have the Cowboys ahead of the Cardinals? I don't know. Actually, good question. I mean, I guess I feel like if they played a best of 5 or best of 7, that the Cowboys might beat them, but kind of hard to say that after the way the Cardinals handled the action last night. How about them Cowboys? felt like they were kind of in the Bengals category. They are. But even their offense hasn't been enough in recent weeks.
21st, Atlanta Falcons.
So the Falcons, at least put forth a better effort against the Patriots. They're kind of a tough team to get a hold of, but they're fading fast in that division race now. It felt like that division might be there for the taking for them, but at 3-5, they are pretty far behind not only the Carolina Panthers, but obviously the Tampa Bay Bucks too.
Team that's still alive in their divisional battle, the Jaguars at 20.
Hard to overstate how significant that win over the Raiders was. Now, they didn't look great doing it, and they're probably not a great team, but that at least coming off the bye and being 5-3, they are very much still in the mix and the thick of things, which helps. That helps, keeps everybody focused, helps make you play better down the stretch.
19, Houston Texans.
CJ Stroud's in the concussion protocol. No surprise there. Their defense is amazing. They just have not been able to win enough of these games, especially late. And they've been really bad on the goal line, short yardage, and that kind of got them again against the Broncos, what they did down near the red zone.
18th is the Carolina Panthers.
Man, it's hard to believe, isn't it, that they are 5-4. I think you got to give Dan Morgan, their GM, a lot of credit, and Dave Canales, their head coach. They are very much under the radar. I don't know that they've even played a primetime or national game yet. People don't even know many of their players, but they know what they have. They got a pretty good defense, pretty good O-line. Rico Dowdle is running hard, and they are riding that to victory.
17th is the Bears.
The Bears. The Bears are 5-3. Give credit to Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. They are very much in the mix. I think the biggest thing is the Bears are winning games this year that they just haven't won in recent years. I can't even remember all of them, but the Commanders game, the obviously this most recent game against the Bengals. I mean, these are games that the Bears seemingly always used to lose. And now, usually you credit head coach and quarterback when that's the case. They have flipped things, and they're finding a way to win those.
Halfway mark, Minnesota Vikings at 16.
The Minnesota Vikings might actually have Vikings this week, a player on the show as the Saturday sit-down. I think that's going to happen. That will be cool. Hopefully a lot of you guys are checking out the Saturday sit-down, either on the podcast app or youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. The best thing to do for however you consume the show, make sure you turn notifications on so you don't miss any of these episodes, because I've gotten a lot of positive feedback for the Dr. Chow interview on Saturday's sit-down, talking about what Ryan Leaf has been saying about him and all of the allegations against Dr. Chow over the years. I just gave him an open canvas to, answer them. And you can, decide for yourself about his answers. But anyway, the Vikings, man, they needed that. Huge difference between 4-4, 3-5. To win at Detroit gives them a boost going into now the second half of the season.
15, Baltimore Ravens.
Well, they got to be the most improved, right? I mean, they've moved up quite a bit. Are they the most improved team, Jack?
They are the most improved team this week.
Yeah, I would think. We do that. We do the westshorehome.com/Ross most improved team based on whoever moves up the most in the power rankings that week. It had to be the Ravens. Presented by my friends at westshorehome.com/Ross. They are the experts in bathroom, window, door, and flooring projects. Sounds like an amazing Christmas gift to me. Visit westshorehome.com/Ross to get started. West Shore Home, remodeling, reimagined. Ravens have now won 2 in a row. Lamar Jackson's back, and in the second half against the Dolphins, he looked like MVP Lamar Jackson. Look out to all the teams that have to play the Ravens for the rest of the year because they are about to go on a run. Don't go anywhere. Got to pay some bills real quick. Guy Fieri's got culinary chaos on his Christmas list. Don't miss the brand new series, Tournament of Champions All-Star Christmas on Food Network. For the first time ever, superstar chef duos will go head-to-head in high-pressure, high-flavor matchups, all for charity. Get ready as game day intensity meets holiday heat in the biggest culinary competition of the season. It's TOC like you've never seen it before. Don't miss Tournament of Champions All-Star Christmas series premiere November 5th at 8 only on Food Network. Stream it the next day on HBO Max. At this point, I really think my Labatt blue cooler backpack is like one of my top 10, maybe top 5 prized possessions. And I got it essentially for free just by going to rewards.labattusa.com. You buy beer, you get gear. I've told you guys before, even if you're skeptical or you don't know or whatever, first of all, you should try Labatt Blue Light. Secondly, you should go to rewards.labattusa.com just to see the sweet merch you can get if you buy beer to get that gear.
14th is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Boy, did they need that win. Every aspect of it. After those back-to-back tough losses, especially the defense against the Bengals and the Packers, to rise up against the best offense in the NFL and the Colts. That many turnovers, that much pressure of Daniel Jones. That is the formula for the Steelers to win games this year. It's to get turnovers and pressure the quarterback, and that's exactly what they did.
13th is the Niners.
So the Niners, this whole Mac Jones, Brock Purdy thing is interesting because they're paying Purdy a ton, but Mac Jones keeps playing well. And I know the way coaches are. They are very hesitant to move guys out of there when they're playing this well. Very hesitant because they don't want to take a chance of messing with a good thing. So maybe they'll continue to say that Purdy's healing up as long as Mac Jones is playing well. And then when Mac Jones has a stinker or a bad game, then they'll put Purdy back in.
12th, LA Chargers.
San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers. Somebody emailed me, or maybe it was a social media post, at Ross Tucker NFL. We, of course, are at Ross Tucker Pod, saying that they were disappointed watching the game on Sunday, Jack, because they were waiting for a San Diego Superchargers. Sorry, I can't do that. The Chargers officially lost Joe Alt to season-ending ankle surgery, which is just absolutely brutal. They have 2 of the best young offensive tackles in the NFL. They have 2 of the top 10 offensive tackles in the NFL. They lose both, not one, but both, to season-ending injuries. That is just so hard to come back from. Because usually your next man up is pretty good. But after that, it starts to become slim pickings. They also lost Bobby Hart, their right tackle of the present and maybe the future in that game on Sunday against the Titans too. Just brutal. By the way, I forgot to mention this. We were talking Bears, but Deo Odengbo, who's had a good year. They gave him pretty good money in Chicago. He's out for the year with a torn Achilles, like Michael Hoyt for the Bills. By the way, Jack, did you see that video I posted at Ross Tucker NFL of Michael Hoyt tearing his Achilles, keeping his balance and still rushing?
Insane.
That is like you're in a war and you get shot, adrenaline type stuff right there. That is nuts.
11th, Green Bay Packers.
Boy, that's a bad loss. And they've had a few of them. I mean, I know they only have 2 losses, but the Browns loss, the Panthers loss, The Cowboys tie. Now, I do expect the Packers to bounce back Monday night against the Eagles. They need to.
10th, Tampa Bay Bucks.
Bucks had a bye, so not much to say other than it was really good timing, hopefully, for them to get their guys healthy because they needed to get some of these O-linemen. Gedeke, they opened up the practice window for him, get these receivers' hamstrings healed up, just in the nick of time, I think, for the Bucks.
9th, New England Patriots.
The New England Patriots are in the top 10. And guess what? They deserve it. They are easily in the top 10 and climbing.
8th, Denver Broncos.
You know, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. The best thing they got going is Bo Nix plays his best when it matters the most, late in games. You think about all the games they've won, the Giants game, this Texans game, it's huge.
7th is the Detroit Lions.
Lions got some bad news too. I mean, not only did they lose the game to the Vikings, but then their left guard, who's played well, Christian Mahogany, the guy that's strong as oak, broke his leg, so he'll be out for a while.
6th, Buffalo Bills.
Nothing, Jack? Not even a smirk or nothing? Mahogany, strong as oak? Probably should go with strong as wood, but whatever. Buffalo Bills, massive, massive victory against the Chiefs. You know, the best thing about it for the Bills is they looked really good, I would say, on both sides of the ball. The worst thing is with Ed Oliver and Hoyt, you wonder how many of these injuries they can overcome.
5th is the Seattle Seahawks.
Top 5 Seahawks, rarefied air, and they absolutely deserve it. They are, I mean, we know about their defense. If Darnold plays like that, like he did Sunday night, then they could go to the Super Bowl and maybe even win it.
4th, LA Rams.
The Rams, I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but Matthew Stafford having maybe his best season at age 37 with, I think he's got a herniated disc in his back, at least bulging, that needed an epidural, is just absolutely wild. Kudos to him for what he's done this year.
3rd, Kansas City Chiefs.
So the Chiefs took a loss, and now they have 4, which sounds like a lot, and it kind of is, just in the sense that they're in a battle just to win their division. You know, not that they can't go the wild card route, but they're now a couple games behind the Denver Broncos. There's a very real chance that the Chiefs wouldn't win that division. I think they still will, but at least there's a chance now.
2nd, Indianapolis Colts.
I'm only dropping them one spot. The loss to the Steelers didn't change things that much for me. 6 turnovers. Could have been 7. 7. 6 turnovers, and they still only lost by a touchdown. On some level, you could say that that's actually a good sign for the Colts. 6 turnovers and still only lost 27-20. Kind of a fluky game. I'm not expecting more of that.
Ross's number 1 team, which is totally meaningless, but it's fun and will get many of you incredibly annoyed, is...
And number 1 is the Philadelphia Eagles.
My number 1 team is presented by Smirnoff, the official vodka sponsor of the National Football League. Smirnoff, please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Vodka, 40% alcohol by volume. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. The Birds are back on top. Helps when you're coming off your best game, coming off a bye, and the number 1 Colts lose, the number 2 Chiefs lose, the Lions lose, the Packers lose. You want to talk about a good bye week for the Eagles. It was about as good of a bye week as you could possibly have, and they traded for Jair Alexander and Jalen Phillips, trying to fortify the ranks on defense. Other than that, we got Even Money Betting Podcast today and a Picks Wednesday. Plus, I will recap all of the trade deadline trades from today on tomorrow's show. I think we're done here.
Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
shout out myfrontpagestory.com. It's November. It's holiday season. It is absolutely the right time to go to myfrontpagestory.com for a loved one. Backofficescheduler.com, humanetnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.